Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Very soon we will be moving on to new adventures and new lands in Shadowlands. But we can't move on without leaving something behind. And in this case, that would be Battle for Azeroth. Now, I imagine many of you, after I'd said Battle for Azeroth, maybe did a little fist bump, maybe just went, thank God, maybe cheered. I know that when I was writing this, I was very tempted to put some sort of sarcastic comment after that, but one that would show some amount of bias, which, spoilers, I am a little bit. I will say that I don't think Battle for Azeroth has been Blizzard's finest hour, but this video is going to be more of a sort of rough overview of my thoughts, etc., rather than a detailed analysis of each patch that dropped and the problems or the benefits that that particular patch brought. So let's start this off with the foundation that BFA was built upon. The fantastic, the wonderful, the amazing, blah 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 blah, fill in whatever amazing word you want in that particular point, expansion that was Legion. A return for many to glory of old Blizzard. Yes, there were major issues in the beginning. The legendary lottery at the very start was a particularly painful point, but overall the expansion only got better as it went on. For Blizzard, I think they looked at Legion and thought, hey, we've got the skeleton here, we've got the framework, what we'll build all future expansions on. Brilliant, that saves us some work. Fantastic. The world quest system, for a start, was far better than just dailies. It was great. We could go in there, we could target whatever we wanted as our reward. Do we want some gear? Well, that's fine. Go get yourself some gear. Do you want some crafting resources? Go do that. You just want raw gold? Fine, go get yourself some gold. It's a fantastic system. And then we'd get our box at the end of it, and we could get potential goodies in that box. Ah, also good. Then on top of that, we had the M+ system. A system that had evolved from the ideas of Diablo and brought new life into the endgame of World of Warcraft. And I will say this, in my humble opinion, M+ felt fantastic in Legion. Far better than I think it does in BFA. And yeah, okay, granted in BFA we got the big seasonal affix, which I think is fantastic. Outside of that, M+ needed some love. It was basically the same as we'd had in Legion. But we had dungeons now in BFA that just didn't fit that affix style. It almost felt like they needed to sort of drop half the affixes and bring in something new, which would freshen up a little bit, but also that maybe fit better with the dungeons that we had. And that kind of highlights my first and maybe my biggest issue with BFA, is it was more of the same and actually added very little. Back in the day, and apologies if you've watched my channel for any length of time, you know that a Call of Duty analogy is coming, but when I played Call of Duty, BFA reminds me a lot of Modern Warfare 3. It was not the worst Call of Duty by any stretch of the imagination. It was built upon the amazing, the fantastic Modern Warfare 2. And that's the problem. It was just a reskin Modern Warfare 2. It brought a couple of good ideas, but they were poorly implemented, and it just didn't have the same soul, the spirit that Modern Warfare 2 had. And that's BFA in a nutshell. It feels like Legion 2.0, which shouldn't be an issue, right? We literally just said Legion was fantastic, it was amazing. How could you go wrong? Problem with Legion is, or the great thing about Legion, the problem with BFA, is that there are a lot of things that kept the player interested, kept us coming back. Not because we had to, because we wanted to play the game. We had the Mage Tower, which was fantastic. We had Legos. We had the artifact weapons. And as painful as we said before they may have been in the beginning, they at least kept the mundane things, the world quest, even just clicking on a blingatron, kept my, oh, maybe I'll get a Lego. I bring up the blingatron because that is actually how I got my first Lego, was opening up a blingatron pack when I got my first, and it was actually this Lego for my Warlock. But anyway, yeah, Cuddle still shouts at me for that. We had things like order halls, which meant every time I came back on a different class, I had a new experience, something new to see and just feel. It was great. I was playing the game because I wanted to play it, and at the end of it, I got mounts and titles and all sorts. It was like a good cake. But then it just had, somebody went crazy with the icing, and we had sprinkles and jelly tots and cherries and whatever else you want on that cake. In fact, sod the cake. Legion was like basically saying, hey, there's great cake there, but if you want it, there's an all-you-can-eat buffet here. Go crazy. And when BFA come along, it's like Blizzard thought, the cake's good enough. What about... No, they don't get the buffet. Just give them the cake. But, okay, so what are we going to put on this cake? Oh, I don't know. The people seem to like the cake. Just leave it as just plain cake. The Azerite neck. We have to mention it at some point, so let's just do it now. The Azerite neck, in my opinion, goes down as the worst system that WoW has ever introduced. More players I know have stopped playing because of that item than any other that I can think of. An item that its entire reason for being was to grind and keep you in the game. It took the very worst essences of gear score and compressed it down into the heart of Azeroth. So we have more of the same. We have Legion 2.0. We've said this before. But now, add on top of that, a stripped back, bare bones Legion. But now you have to keep playing it. You want FOMO? You want fear of missing out? Well, sorry, you got to keep playing, and it's not as fun as it was before. What a fantastic, great combination of ideas that is. A good example from this actually in-game would be simply World Quest, as I've stated before. BFA, we had no mounts, we had no Legos. So we would get our boxes, our Paragon box, and it would be, in the Paragon boxes, we'd just get this box and there'd be nothing there. There'd be no fun, no excitement, no joy. It's just, oh, okay, I've got more AP and I've got some gold. Thanks. Great. Cheers, Blizz. But fear not, ladies and gentlemen, fear not. Because what really makes an expansion are the features added to what is the real game, end game. When you hit max level and you unlock all the juiciness that comes from a new expansion. Because realistically, the leveling in Legion wasn't that bad. It's quite a fun expansion to level in. But when we got end game content, we had something good. We had Warfronts, literally putting the battle in Battle for Azeroth. We had island adventures, never the same challenge twice, always something new to explore. The Azerite system itself, increasing our power to unlock new and exciting abilities. You loved the Legion weapons, right? You loved the Legion Legos. Well, now imagine having 3 pieces of armor that replicated that. Tailor your armor to suit your needs. Create an exciting and unique build. Well, that was the idea. Even if we just take a look at Warfronts as an example, and you and I, dear viewer, could sit and we could probably talk for hours over a drink about what Warfronts could have been, with all the ideas and the images that it stirs up, this epic battleground in front of you. I mean, take Wintergrasp and then let's push that to a whole new level. Years of gaming have gone on since Wrath of the Lich King. What could we do with the idea of Wintergrasp now? Fully destructible castles. We can have Horde versus Alliance just going at each other. PvE and PvP. A bloody and violent affair. You as just a tiny cog in the huge war machines of Azeroth. Fully destructible with cannons and catapults, undermining the walls, fighting in the sky, fighting in the castles, fighting in the mines underneath. Death loses you tickets as an attacker. Defenders, you have to protect your lord or lose everything. Outside of the battle itself, you provide supplies to rebuild the castle if you won, or supplies to give you more cannons and more chance of taking it back if you lost. There was so much possibility, but instead we got LFR Warfronts. But wait, it's not even LFR if you think about it, because if N'Zoth taught us anything, it was that you can still fail in LFR. Warfronts, you couldn't fail. You could have 50% of the players AFK. Didn't matter. Warfronts should go down as one of the laziest game features ever added to WoW. And it's such a shame. Even in this brief time of talking about it, we've come up with so many good ideas. This one feature could have literally been the pinnacle of everything BFA could have done right. Instead, it was a prime example of everything it did wrong. It was great ideas that where only just enough was done. It's just enough to get it into the game. And speaking of only just doing enough, Islands, another feature that we could talk about for days of what could have been. I personally like Islands. I had some really fun times in there. But Blizzard in their wisdom wanted to force players to do this new content. So they made it really the only way to grind up your neck. But I can assume that they never gave that challenge to their testers in-house. They never said, hey, you're going to grind your neck up, so you've got to run islands over and over and over and over again. Because if they did, they would have very quickly found out that all you did was pull an entire island and then just kite it and burn it down and on to the next one. That was it. That's all you would do. And it's not like Blizzard couldn't see that coming. It's literally what we'd been doing in high-end keys all through Legion. Pull it, kite it, move on. And they put no counters to this strategy in Islands. So it didn't matter how interesting the mobs were. It didn't matter how great the island environment itself could have been. It just ended up being a giant blob that you run around, killed, and then queued for the next. Those two features alone could have been a combined spear tip working together to be a larger battle, a larger campaign. Imagine a combat map with castles and island forts taking up the waters between Zandalar and Kul Tiras. If you did islands, you'd bring back supplies. If you were PvE, if you were PvP, then you decrease the enemy's tickets. When supplies were high enough, or tickets were low enough, you could make a push onto the next castle, or the next island fort, the next enemy stronghold. Each step of the way opens up new activities, new challenges, whether you be the defender or the attacker. Eventually you unlock the ability to actually go and attack the enemy capital, not as a raid, but as a huge battlefront, a huge warfront. Once the city fight was over, the map resets and we go again. The losing side would get some more reinforcements, pushing their tickets up a little bit higher and giving them a chance to fight back. But you can already see in this living, breathing campaign, there is a place for Nadjatar to be dropped in. There's a place for Mechagon to fit in. And that sadly is not what happened. I think personally BFA would not be considered the fail that it probably is seen by many if they'd halved the lifespan. It's a 5 out of 10 expansion that's okay. You can't hit a home run every expansion. I accept that. For every Wrath of the Lich King, there has to be a Cataclysm. But you can't draw an expansion out the way BFA has been drawn out if it simply doesn't have the content. You only need to look at the addition of an old god. An old god at the end of BFA felt flat and empty. And I repeat, this is an old god and not a bound old god. But the first one we have ever seen that is free. We could truly see the awesome power that an old god could bring that has struck the rising of the Black Empire. And instead it was awful. It was some more world quests. The best parts of BFA were taken from Legion, but we'd already been doing that for years. What they laid down on top of that was maybe at best briefly interesting and probably in reality just awfully grinding. All I hope is that when Blizzard look back on BFA, they learn from it. And the next time they are adding something to the game and they turn around to themselves and say, that'll do guys, yep, make it live. They just think back to Warfronts, they think back to Islands, they think back to Azeroth gear, and they just say, whoa, is it the best we can do? Maybe we can do better. Shadowlands, from what I've seen so far, does seem to be asking that question. Is this good enough? Can we do better? So chin up, hero. Shadowlands awaits us. BFA is now behind us. If you stuck it all the way through on BFA, I salute you. Even to the point where we have pre-patch rare whack-a-mole every 10 minutes. Again, I salute you. If you fell along the way, I don't blame you in the slightest. Fingers crossed we can all reunite in better times in Shadowlands. But that's enough from me. I need to go and have a power nap before I stream Shadowlands tonight. Don't judge me, I'm an old man. Have a good one, everybody. Thank you for watching. Have a great launch, stay safe, and I will catch you all tomorrow. Loctaro Gar! Chat! Moorwalker. See you in Shadowlands, everyone.